Hello, and welcome to Afternoon Tea with Karen. Today I'm going to check out Australia's Autism Strategy.
Sebastian Langdon McMillan knows what it's like to be different.
Autistic people are socially isolated and lonely in a lot of cases.
Australia's first autism strategy aims to change that. A cornerstone, a $20 million peer support program led by those with autism.
Autistic people are incredibly unique, but autistic people need to understand and sometimes be guided by other autistic people who walk the same path as them.
The 7-year plan covers support services, healthcare, education and employment, including a $3 million study to work out how many people have autism in Australia.
What it does, it sets out a vision of how we make Australia a more inclusive place for autistic people.
But some say it doesn't go far enough.
What it omits is some of the biggest areas of need, which is education, housing.
The US, UK and Canada have all launched their own national autism strategies. Australia only just coming into line in 2025. And it's much needed as people with autism are 6 times more likely to be unemployed.
I'm really worried for that personally. And I know that other young people like me are really worried about it.
And Sebastian, I'm sorry, but I don't think you're a priority. The Australian Government National Autism Strategy is 76 pages long. So we'll head down to my favourite part, the table of contents. We want to have a little look at intersectionality, priority cohorts, also the outcomes and commitments, a brief look there. What it should achieve, inclusion, acceptance, recognising autistic strengths and ensuring autistic people have a strong voice, including those who are non-speaking or minimally speaking. Recognition of individual diversity and capacity, better quality of life and improved living standards. Statement on language. Statement on autism. And intersectionality is just a metaphor for understanding the ways that multiple forms of inequality or disadvantage sometimes compound themselves and they create obstacles that are not often understood within conventional ways of thinking. And our priority cohorts are First Nations people, culturally and linguistically diverse and culturally and racially marginalised people, women and girls and gender diverse people, LGBTQIA plus people, older people, children and young people, and people with very high support needs. So no average aged men. The strategy is focused on these 4 key outcomes: social inclusion, economic inclusion, diagnosis, service and supports, health and mental health. And the following references provide the foundation for the strategy's guiding principles and form the basis of the strategy. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of a Person with Disabilities, that says equality between men and women and all genders. Rather than look for ways to help autistic people fit in a neurotypical world, this strategy takes a neurodiversity affirming approach, valuing and respecting all neurotypes. Neurotypical, that's like heteronormal. Vision statement, goal, guiding principles. And the 4 key outcomes are social inclusion, economic inclusion, diagnosis, service and supports, health and mental health. And the government commitments are greater public education, including building a better understanding of the diversity of autism within workplaces and service systems, with a focus on health, education and the federal justice system. Increasing representation of the diversity of autistic people in Australian public service, media, sports and the arts. ensure consideration of the needs of all autistic people in the upcoming review of the Disability Discrimination Act and next statutory reviews of the associated disability standards. Economic inclusion commitments. Support employers to hire and retain autistic employees through improving the accessibility of recruitment processes and workplace environments that are safe and inclusive for all autistic people. Increase the diverse representation of autistic people in management, senior executive and board positions, promoting autistic people as visible role models. Diagnosis, service and support commitments. Develop best practice resources, explore ways to make autism diagnosis and assessment process more affordable. Encourage greater representation of people with lived experience in delivering supports and services to autistic people. And last one is governance. Whole of government, cross-sectional and coordinated approach to implementation. Ensure Australian government funded autism research conducted in Australia is underpinned by the strategy's guiding principles and is used to inform policy and service delivery with a focus on priority cohorts. And how the National Autism Strategy was developed. There were 3,467 participations with people and organisations from all states and territories. And here's Canada's table of contents, guiding principles, human rights-based approach, and intersectionality and diversity.
It is Australia's first national autism strategy. It puts us in line with other countries that already have a similar strategy, like the UK, US, and Canada. And today, the government has put forward $42.3 million towards this plan. It'll roll out over 7 years. And some of the money includes funding for things like a dedicated body to be set up to turn autism-focused research into evidence-based kind of tools and guidance. Also money for better communication and information to support people and their families pre and post diagnosis, better screening, also more sensory and quiet spaces in particular places, for example, shopping centres where autistic people may become overwhelmed or find them difficult spaces to navigate. And also a significant amount of money to really assess and evaluate what programs are in existence at the moment and how well they are working and what can be improved. So there's a lot there. The Social Services Minister, Amanda Rishworth, has thanked everyone for their participation. This was a huge undertaking from, of course, led by the autistic community in a group of people, but also many people who put forward their submissions after a draft was released last year. Let's have a listen to what Amanda Rishworth had to say.
These are not actions government have come up with. These are actions that autistic people themselves have said would make a difference. And that's what's so powerful about this strategy.
And what's been the reaction from advocates so far then, Naz?
Yeah, look, I think the significance can be seen in what a few people have told me this morning about the fact that this is the first strategy, and to have a strategy at all is significant because it recognises that autistic people have unique support requirements and that they are operating in a world that is inherently not built for them. And this is an opportunity to really turn around some of the poorer outcomes that autistic people face here in Australia. This aim of the whole strategy is really to increase knowledge and awareness and acceptance and understanding of autism and how autistic people, what their needs are, and particularly around some of those poorer outcomes. Autistic people are 6 times more likely to be unemployed than non-disabled people in the population. They're also overrepresented in the justice system. So advocates really looking for change and really pinning their hopes on this strategy not being left on the shelf. They want to see some of these critical spending, or this critical spending, actually be, fulfilled, and for it to bring about some meaningful change.
The federal government has unveiled its 7-year plan to improve the lives of Australians living with autism. The $42.3 million national strategy aims to create a safe and inclusive society where all autistic people are supported and empowered to thrive. Well, the strategy outlines 22 commitments focused on 4 key reform areas. They are social inclusion, economic inclusion, diagnosis, services and support, and the health of autistic people. The first phase of the strategy includes $19.9 million over 4 years for a peer support program. It aims to provide autistic people with lived experience, knowledge, empathy, and culturally tailored advice in groups they resonate with. As for the remaining funding, $12.2 million will go towards autism-related research. Over $3 million will evaluate existing programs for autistic people, and $2.8 million will fund an epidemiological study into the prevalence of autism in Australia. Money will also go to community initiatives and resources dedicated to pre- and post-autism diagnosis. The latest ABS figures say 290,000 Australians have been diagnosed with autism. They're 6 times more likely to be unemployed than people without a disability, and are 2 to 3 times more likely to die prematurely.
What it does, it sets out a vision of how we make Australia a more inclusive place for autistic people. How do we make sure that they are socially included, economically included, that their journey before and after diagnosis is a better experience, and of course their health and mental health is improved?
Unless they're men. And that will do. Oh, no, it won't, because America will have gotten rid of theirs today, wouldn't they? Diversity, equity, inclusion's all gone thanks to Donald Trump. Yeah, anyway, see you later, bye.